Good morning, Central Texas. Welcome to KISS Community Connections at my KISS 103.1. I'm Phyllis Jones, your host. My guest is running a little late, or he probably got lost, because if you haven't driven down here in Temple in a while, you'll see so much construction until you can get very lost, really, really lost. So hopefully he'll show up and grace us with his presence, because like I said, I would say he's lost, but I don't know that yet. Anyway, there's a couple of things that has happened this week that should cause us to stand up and, and say, what's really going on? But as I pay attention and watching, nobody is saying anything, about what's going on. And I know you're trying to say, what is she talking about? So, I'm going to tell you. First of all, our city council, as we know, they regularly have meetings and vote and discuss on things. And they are our elected officials. And, I always tell you, that if they don't speak to us, they can't speak for us, but on the same point, we need to address them. We need to talk to them, call them, email them, text them, and, and say, hey, listen, I'm not exactly, happy about what you said. But we need to address certain things that's going on. And I'll say this week, I don't know, the impact fee, the street fees. Last week I had Steve Harris, our city council person, on the show, and he did talk about the impact fees that they were talking about doing and voting on. And if you remember, he gave us his views, and we talked about, certain streets being worked on and certain streets that will not be worked on. Well, anyway, and we also talked about, the fact that he was against it. Well, I guess enough of us did not contact our city council people because the street fees passed. So, which means there will be some upgrades on certain streets, as we learned. So some of the streets you think, oh yeah, no, it won't be done. But also, come July, you will be paying a street fee. If you pay attention to the city council meeting, they slipped in transportation into the street fee. So we'll be paying on that. And some of the council people, when they voted, I don't know if they paid attention to that little slip in or whether they didn't, but it came in there and bam, it was in there and they voted yes. So their vote went past. So now we do have a street fee. My question is, one, you can hear me say it over and over again. When do we ever stand up and say anything? Or do we just simply lay down and roll over and let this happen? I don't know, but right now it looks like that's what we're doing. Also, if you paid attention to the city council meeting, they also voted to close some of our city polling sites. And I didn't say open anymore. They voted to close some of them, which would disenfranchise a lot of voters. The polling sites that were closed, 404 in Killeen, if you know anything about 404 in Killeen, it's highly populated, and a lot of people vote there. One of the downtown precincts is going to close, which would disenfranchise people who live downtown. We know our hop service got changed, so they can't catch the bus to the polls, so they disenfranchise some voters. And you wonder, some of your city council people once again voted for it, and it was a 5-2. So 5 of them voted for it, 2 of them didn't. But either way we go, here we are with some precincts being closed. And the reasons are, one, our city attorney said how much money it costs to keep them open. She's also talking about low voter turnout in some of them. And also the other issue she stated was they don't have enough election judges and clerks to work the election. Well, so let's use that. One, if they don't advertise that they need clerks or judges for the election, they don't do it widely. And also they don't tell you that you get paid. I am a city judge, so I do know, but they don't tell you get paid. They don't put it out there, and you never see where they're holding their training. So we can defeat that one real quick right there. That they need to do a better job of letting everybody know that it's out there. Also, if you paid attention to the city council meeting, the mayor said that people who work the election are volunteers. I don't know where he got that from, but your clerks and judges are paid. So I don't know where he got the volunteer part, but that's what he said. So that's what how much our own mayor knows about the election process and how it goes and who gets paid and who is actually a volunteer and all that. He obviously he didn't know. He didn't know that at all. So what are we going to do about that as a people? Are we going to sit back, roll over, and let it happen? Because you know what? When we let one thing go, then we end up letting more and more things go, and more and more. And then we complain. And, we complain later. We start complaining, oh my gosh, where did this happen at? Well, it happened because you weren't paying attention. It happened because we didn't say anything. And now I'll say one council person is stepping out to actually give you a voice. Steve Harris, District 4, he's having a District 4 Emergency Neighborhood Watch meeting. And it's focusing on crime, yes. But, also, we could talk to him about anything that's interesting and a topic of your own. Also, he wants more residents to be interested in taking an active role in keeping their community safe. This meeting will be for everybody. So you don't have to live in District 4 to go to the meeting that Councilman Harris is holding. You can, you can live anywhere and go. It's not a matter. But he just is the District 4 person, so that's why it's there. But he's having it at, let me read the flyer. He's having, like I said, the district meeting. The meeting will be December 17th. And it will be at Marco's Pizza at 5304 West Elms Road, number 103 in Killeen. It's free and open to the public. He's having it because he says several residents in the district have recently been victimized and are taking action in order to protect themselves and their neighborhood. It says come out, join your neighbors, and learn how you can work better together to keep our community safe. He will have the police department's crime prevention coordinator, which will be Tammy Mosley, will be there in attendance to talk about implementing an effective neighborhood watch program. So this is going to address crime in our area. But, I'm pretty sure that if we have any other questions while we're there, we can ask them also about other things that are going on in our community and what we're concerned about. We need to make sure that we go because you know what? If you don't go, you don't have a voice. And if you don't have a voice, anything happens and later we pay for it. Like we're doing right now. We're actually paying for not voting, not standing up, not saying anything. We're actually voting for it. And, and that needs to be, that needs to be fixed. And we need to deal with it. But we need to step up to the plate. So I just told you that one, we allowed our city council to vote on street fees that we're not going to be paying starting in July. We've also allowed our city council to close some polling locations. We've allowed that. Yes, we did. We allowed it because we didn't do anything about it. And we're rolling over again. My question is, when do we stop rolling over? When do we, as a people, just stop? Just say, okay, no more. I'm not doing this. I'm not taking this. We're not going to be doing. We're just not going to do it. When do we do that? Are we ever going to stand up? Are we just going to simply, just sit around and complain? Our forefathers wouldn't have stood for all these things that we're letting ride. And we're doing such a good job of letting things just go. And we complain to each other. We complain on Facebook. We complain all over the place. But we don't complain where we really need to. That's the problem. We need to. It's okay to complain on Facebook. And it's okay to put your issues out there on it. That's fine. That's fine. It's fine. But we need to take the next step. We need to take the next step and talk to our elected officials and tell them that we're not doing this anymore. We can't do this anymore. We need to stop it. So that's my city council thing for this morning is we need to contact them. And remember, next year in May, some of them will be coming up for election. Remember these things to ask them then. Remember the street fees. Remember polling locations. Because guess what? They'll be running for election, and some of the polling locations that are in their area will be closed. How does that sound? You're going to be running next year for election, and some of your polling sites in your area are going to be closed, and you voted for it. Okay, it's pretty smart. But we need to talk to our council people and make them more aware that we are aware of what they're doing. We see what they're doing. We're watching their votes. But call them up, email them, text them. We have time. You want to know their email addresses? Look on the City of Killeen's website. They're there. Their phone numbers are there. Their email addresses are there. So text them, email them. It doesn't take but a minute. Most of them do have a Facebook page. Go to it. But we need to start voicing our opinions and start rolling over and, just saying ouch, because it's not working. The steamroller is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and more of us are falling up under it. So we need to do something, and we need to stop it now. So let's move on to the other people called KISD. In the past 2 weeks, we've heard about different people, strangers, and that are, I guess you want to say, trying to snatch our children. And so far, there's been four cases of a person in different school districts, different schools that have been trying to snatch children. In one case, the man tried to snatch a child. He went up to her. He went to the bus stop, and he took a step further. He was talking to her, but he was trying to get her in the car, and he had some money in his hand to let him know, he's got some cash. But we need to pay attention to the strange things that happen. We need to become more aware of these things that are happening. So since we do know, we need to start watching our kids going to school. We need to start a buddy program of when our kids are leaving home. Make sure that if your child lives here and mine lives 2 doors down, let's make sure they walk together in a pair if the parents can't walk or drive them to school. You need to always remember that as your child's walking to school, you don't have always honest people watching out for them. You have people who are preying on our kids, and we need to remember that word that we always try to forget. It's called child sex trafficking. It's called human trafficking. This is the time of year when it's highly done. Why? Because you have these big holidays coming up, and you have Super Bowl coming up whenever it's coming next year. But you have all these things and conventions and parties going on at this time of the year to where it's vocal because they're saying it, but it's highly visible. We're not paying attention anymore to the cars that slow up. We're not looking at that anymore. We need to go back and look on it and save our children. We need to do that. Like I said, a man came up to a high school girl, wanted to pick her up, take her with her, and he had some cash with him, that was going to get her. Luckily, she was smart enough not to do that, not to get into the car. She was smart, which was great. She ran to a neighbor's house to let them know, hey, something's going on. Luckily, they were there, and they were good people, and they assisted her in getting to school safely. But we need to go back and we need to protect our children. We need to go back to, you might watch them down the street and the next person might watch them down the street until we make sure they get there. I know yesterday morning, we were in class and there was a child walking to school late. He was late. He was 7:45. He's walking down the street, and we watched him because we looked at our classroom window. We watched him, but we also saw a car turn the corner slowly, right? So we, and for us, we were inside the building. We went to the door. We went down to the door of our classroom to the hall, and we opened the door, and we watched that kid go into the building where he was supposed to go, to the main entrance, because he was late. And we watched that red car and, just drive on by. Just drove on past because we were standing at the door. Now, we don't know who that person was in the red car. We don't know why they, were slowly behind the kid and turned him into our school. They turned him into our school and drove past, to which if we weren't out there, that could have been the wrong person. That could have been somebody to snatch the child, because the kid was out there all by himself. No one was driving and dropped him off. We watched him walk from the corner when we noticed him all the way up. And then when I said we saw a red car turn in, and we immediately went to the door, because all those things ran into our mind. Snatching the kid, trafficking. This week's been a week where kids have been, followed by different cars, pickup trucks. So we went out there, like I said, and, we watched him go to the main door, but that car drove on past. Well, if that car is driving past in front of our school, he or she has no reason to pass our school in that way unless you're dropping somebody off or you come into the office. So the person had no reason to be over there, but they were. But we were paying attention. Had we not been paying attention, that kid's late, and just went on about our business with our classroom, we don't know what would happen. But like I said, we were women, and we just jumped out and said, hey, let's run down the hall, open the door to see what's going on. And luckily we did. So parents, I want you to know, look out for your kids. Also when your kids are late coming to school and you drop them off at the corner and they walk all the way up, that's not always safe. So be careful about that. And last week of school, kids are going to be focused on the last week of school. They're going to be focusing on the Christmas party. They're not going to be paying attention to the strange car. They're not. The little kids, they're not. They're focused on Friday. We're going to have a party. We can have as much junk as we want to. We're going to exchange gifts. This is the last week. I only got 4.5 days. That's their focus. Remember that. That's their focus. So guess what? These people who snatch kids, we know what their focus is. Their focus is to catch the kid that's not paying attention. That's what they do. That's what they look for. So this week, and I'll say ever, but this week, pay attention to your children. Pay attention to the kids who are walking. If you see a child walking alone by themselves, just step out. Just step outside your house if they are. If you driving and you see a kid walking by themselves and wrong time of day, doesn't look good. I've slowed down and trailed a child. I've slowed down. I probably look like I was crazy, but I've slowed down to trail a child to see that he gets to where he has to go. If I look at my watch and see that it's not a good time for this kid to be out, okay, what's going on? Too early or it's too late. So we need to be mindful of the people who are seeking to snatch our children. KISD has put out that they want parents' help in stopping this because, as we know, your child's way on to school is not KISD's property. Your child, once they get on the property, it becomes the property of the school to protect your child. But while they're walking to school, it's on the parents. So parents, we need you to, like I said, if your kids walking to school next week, you need to be very mindful of a buddy system. You need to be mindful that your child is walking alone. So you need to ask your kid, are you walking with a bunch of friends to the bus stop or are you by yourself? How long are you at the bus stop before the bus comes? Do you know that, parents? Probably not. Now, the man who felt comfortable enough to drive up to a bus stop and ask and talk to a girl and money lets you know one thing. One, this is not the first time he's ever did it. That's number one. Number two, he's watched that bus stop enough because you're not going to drive up out of the blue sky and go, let me go over there. No, you're not going to do it. No. They're not that crazy. They're actually good at what they do. So they're not going to just drive up and say, hey, So you got to remember they've been watching, stalking, paying attention to that bus stop. So they know, I'll say, when the kids get there and they know when the bus comes. So in the time in the middle, he's got free reign, he or she, because it's not always a male. So we need to get that out of our head that it's always a male because sometimes it's a female. So like I said, parents, and even people who are not parents, kids aren't the responsibility only because we're parents. Those of us who are not parents, watch out for these kids. Like I said, be mindful because it's 4 in 1 week is too many. 1 in 1 week is too many. Before, somebody's getting a little too comfortable. That's too much comfort zone. For me anyway, I'll put it that way. It's too much comfort zone for me because they're out there. The little kid from Eastward, the man promised him a bike. Naturally, he's the elementary kid, so you'd promise him elementary kid a bike. You would. I mean, let's face it. They like bikes. So he promised him a bike if he would get into his car. Luckily, the little boy did not. Luckily, he didn't. He took off running and got to school. That's good. At Skipshaw, a man threatened to kidnap a boy from campus, which let you know he even got closer. He was on campus. not on campus, maybe walking, but still, if my child's on the street where the school is, or on that block where the school is, he becomes the property of the school. So that person driving around there feel comfortable. Remember, you're only going to do things in the areas where you feel comfortable doing it. You're not going to go to a new area and just blatantly do something crazy unless you've stalked out the area prior to. So we got to remember, while our kids are on the way to school and focused on that, you have these nuts out here focusing on being predators to our kids. So let's talk to your children. Talk to them this week. Let them know where to run to. I don't care if you got to get out the car this today and just, hey, listen, let's go your route to school. I want you to go here, here, here. Knock on this door, knock on that door. Say something. I want you to scream, blow a whistle, something. But have a plan and action for your child if they're going to be walking to school next week, and period. But you need to remember, predators have a high time. And this sounds really sad to say it, but there is a high time for snatching children. Holiday time is it. Because like I said, your kid is focused on Friday, party, food, junk, pizza, what I'm going to do for these next 2 weeks that I'm off. This week, they're focused on everything else, everything. Even our 3-year-old kids have been antsy at school. They don't know, they don't realize what's going on, but they know something's going on because we're making boots, elves, we're coloring stuff. So they know something's going on. They actually do. So I'm going to say it again. KISD has 45,000 kids. Woo, it's a lot of kids. We have 45,000 kids, and that's a whole lot of kids. But we need to protect all 45,000 of them. And we need to make sure that, if our kids see something, they say something. If you can tell them where they need to run to get away, do that. Because they need to know. Give them an escape route. If you have any friends and y'all live close by and the kids go to the same school, see if they can walk together. The buddy system always works. Your kid is safer with 2 or 3 in a group than they are by themselves. High school kids, your high school, your kids that are in high school, don't say they're least likely to get taken, and don't say they don't fall for it, because you don't know. Some of the kids will fall for it. Some think they're all tough. I can deal with this. I can handle this. Give them an escape route too, parents. Your school, give them an escape route. Tell them what they need to do. Or remind them, have the conversation. Do you know what to do? Because if you've got the kid who freaks out and stand there and scream, that's not good. Because you have the person who something happens and they're standing there screaming and you're like, run. And they're not running, they're standing there screaming. If you've got that child, you need to talk to that one and explain. Don't stand there and scream, run. Don't just freeze, because that's not a good thing for you to do. Perfect thing for the stranger, negative thing for you. So, don't do it. If you see anything suspicious, call. For real, seriously. The police department wants you to call. If you think you see something, call. Just if you think. I seen a green truck, license plate, boom, 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 driving, 10 in the school zone, in it's 20. I saw him, following behind some kids on the wrong side of the street or whatever. Say something about it. Don't just go, hey, that looks kind of weird, and go back in the house. Don't do that. Don't say that looks kind of weird and you drive on by. You're driving, the speed limit is 20 and you see somebody driving like 5. Pay attention. It doesn't cost you anything to pay attention. If it might be a few minutes late for work, I think it would be worth it just to save our children. But KISD just want the extra set of eyeballs to help so that we can keep our kids safe. We want to make sure that our kids have an escape route if something happens to them on the way to school. You want to make sure your kid knows what to do if somebody asks them, like this one little boy at Eastward, you want a bike? It's a big deal. A bike, man. Yeah, I want a bike. Well, make sure that he doesn't really want that bike. Make sure that he doesn't want the bike that bad to get into the car or anything like that. So, let's make sure, let's keep our kids safe. Make sure these things don't happen, especially this week, because like I said, I'm telling you again, this week is the week that all the kids are focused on something else. And while they're focused on something else, you have the predators focusing on them. I'm going to take a break and come back.